This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me as my other host. What a win. What a way to start out to tack on from last week in Dallas. I mean, it was back-to-back weeks looking like the same exact team. Right from the jump, 87-yard touchdown from Derrick Henry. We set the tone. We kept the tone. There was some moments where you thought Buffalo was going to get some momentum and come back in the game, but we kept our foot on the gas pedal, and that's exactly how I like to see Ravens football. Aggressive, gritty, hard-nosed. We're going to tell you what we're going to do, and we're still going to have success doing it. That's Ravens football.
Prime time. And we did what we do. You know, fans were into it. It's a little rainy, a little gritty, but 2-2. And that's the way I like to start the podcast, 2-2.
Yep. I mean, what a perfect game, too. We all black, primetime, as you mentioned, underneath the lights. I mean, we just don't lose in these jerseys, right?
Yeah.
These are our favorite jerseys to wear. It's a different, aura about us when we put on that all black. You know, the mentality is different. And everybody wrote us off. I mean, even though we were the favorites, the way Buffalo had been playing, you know, they're the best team in the league. Josh Allen looks like the MVP of the league so far. Who's going to stop them? And, you know, people just forgot about us, which is fine because I always like going underneath the radar. But we set the tone, and we made them look like they were frauds in a sense.
Yeah, well, nobody gave us a chance, right? All the commentators, we weren't the favorites in the beginning of the week. So, hey, I like being an underdog, just like you said. I'm in for it. And Josh did not look like Josh that night. And by the way, this was for bragging rights in my family because my sister is in Rochester, New York. So this is a family podcast. And hey, sorry for you, Simone, but you know, this was a great win for the Ravens against Buffalo. And again, as Brandon said, they were taunted as the favorites. Everybody was talking about the Bills. We were under the radar. And what can you say? We did Ravens ball.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why everybody was acting like Buffalo was the team, but I mean, they blew out Jacksonville prime time, and so that really boosted them to be the team to come in here and make this a competitive game. Understandable. I didn't think we were going to blow them out like that. But before then, they played Miami. Tua got hurt. They couldn't even finish the game. And then the Cardinals, to me, is a fraud. Kyler Murray, you know, he has very good weeks. He has some weeks where you're like, what the hell? And they got blown out by Washington, you know, on Sunday. So who has Buffalo really played, right? And people were saying, well, you know, Dallas's run defense is so bad. It's not going to be like with Buffalo. Well, they have injured linebackers. I mean, they were banged up. And you know, Todd Monken, to his credit again, I want to see it like this. The who's going to get the ball? You know, it's not just running it. It's also guessing with all our playmakers. We have such good deception with this offense, and then we can hit you with a play action and beat you over the top if need be, right? We didn't see that too much this game, but we didn't have to. So to me, Dallas in this game was kind of like the same exact game, and we didn't veer away from our game plan at all.
It was. And in hindsight, it's easy to say, you know, Buffalo's not Buffalo. But listen, I was nervous in the beginning playing against Buffalo. Josh is a Superman just like Lamar is. So let me be clear that Buffalo is a contender.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I just feel like, again, like we said in the last podcast, Todd finally stuck to his game plan. They didn't know what we were doing. We're a versatile team. They didn't know if we were running, passing, and I love now Lamar's play-action passing. I love his fakes now. He's improved with that. So you just never know. And then to come out of the gate with Henry with that 87-yard run just set the tone, and I don't think they ever recovered. And looking at some of the social media and actually from some Buffalo players, they said after that play, they were like on their heels.
Yeah, you know, when you're at home too, and the fans are going crazy, and then your offense has to go back on the field, and we're chanting RAVE, it's like, wow, it's a different sort of setting, similar to a Kansas City, when their fans are rowdy and a big play happens. So Buffalo was in a tough spot, but I would say, the only avenue where Buffalo had a chance was due to our mistakes once again. Yes. I mean, if you eliminate just a few plays, right, it was almost a perfect game, and we kind of blundered it. We did blunder it towards the end of the first half yet again. Yep. The one thing that we have with Lamar, and we were getting heat on the podcast, we never condemn Lamar. We're fanboys of Lamar. No, we've been hard on Lamar, even though he's a 2-time MVP, and we always say we want him to slide. Yeah. There was no reason for him, but that's the thing. When you're mobile like that and you make everybody miss, he thinks he can do everything. That was the one moment I was like kind of sweating, because I'm like, oh my God, now Buffalo is back in it. They're back in the game with that fumble. But
yeah, it seems like it was a critical point in the game at the end of the half, because we could have really just put our foot on their throats. And the thing I have about Lamar, and it's so hard to complain.
We could have made it 28 points.
Yeah, 28 points. And it's so hard because he is who he is. But at this stage in his career, there's a couple of things I want to say. He needs to understand clock management. He needs to understand that he is the most valuable player on the team for the Ravens, for his teammates, for the fans. And at some point in time, he's got to slide. And he just thinks he can get that extra yard when it's not necessary. And when you go airborne as a quarterback, you are really sacrificing your body. So I have to say to him or the fans, that's not a good look for him. He's got to be more intelligent on the field when it comes to running and sliding, because we don't want him to get hurt. That's the key.
This was the perfect game because both backups were in the game. And so if Josh Allen goes down or Lamar goes down, you see who you have as a backup. And Josh Johnson and Mitchell Trubisky, you might as well throw the season away.
Yeah.
So
and let me add, if he gets hurt, Brandon, there's nobody to replace him. There's not, a backup quarterback that has any kind of what's the word?
Listen, if your backup has to go in, basically your season's done.
Yeah.
You want a experienced veteran backup with some poise, with some experience, like a Flacco, as you saw what he did to Pittsburgh, and a guy sitting on the bench now that's not, or sitting on the couch, I should say, is in Tannehill. He's experienced. He's been a veteran. I would have him as our backup instead of Josh Johnson.
I would love.
That's a perfect sort of backup to have.
I would love that. And there's a reason why Josh Johnson's been with 4 different teams. I mean, he is
a lot more than 4.
14. He, so it's like, come on, Lamar, be smarter than that as our franchise quarterback. And that's all I can say about him. It's hard to really complain about him because he can break a tackle or two. But in those key situations, especially at the end of the first half with just a minute or so to go, let's be a veteran quarterback.
To segue into more positive thing, I wanna highlight Justice Hill. In years prior, I've been very tough on him, and I just felt like as soon as he got hit, he would just go down because he's not a big back. Similar to the Buffalo Bills running back, James Cook goes down after the first contact. He doesn't have a typical running back build, but Justice Hill is such a great offset from Henry, and we had said that numerous weeks before because of his speed and utilizing him in the pass game. The one thing I liked about Todd is get the ball out of Lamar's hands quick and let his playmakers, let his receivers do the work. Let them get the grunt yards. You don't have to throw it airborne every time. That's what Tom Brady always did all those years, and we put him on a pedestal. So we got the ball out quick, and it helps the offensive line. I mean, this offensive line from the first 2 weeks till now, complete 360. That pass to likely Lamar had all day in the world to throw.
Yeah.
So getting the ball out quick also helps the O-line, especially when you got to play against pass rushers like TJ Watt down the line.
And speaking of the O-line, let's give him an A+ because they gave Lamar plenty of time to throw the ball downfield finally. So I love that with the O-line. And also, to your point, with Justice Hill, yeah, he was in beast mode this game. And the thing about it was, I like to see Lamar passing it to him on a swing pass versus Zay Flowers using him all the time. I know. I'm saying I like to see
6 catches for 78 yards.
I like to see that, versus Zay Flowers, who he was using in the past, the last several games, because Zay is not a running back. So when you give the opportunity to a Henry or a Hill to be on the outside edge running downfield, that's a good sign.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the wheel route where he scored. Lamar just put it right in his breadbasket. That's when the offense is clicking. And, I will say when halftime hit, I was disappointed with the turnover. I was like, man, we could at least, it was minimum a field goal. But we came out of half. Lamar had I believe the scramble run, I think, was in the second half. And we just stuck with it. That's what you want to see, especially with this mantra going about, which is somewhat true, that we blow fourth quarter leads.
Yeah.
And
I think the reason why is because Todd Monken stuck to his game plan, and for these last two games,
he just kept rushing it. When you have the lead and you have a Henry, take time off the clock.
Yep.
Even if you don't score, I mean, at least you milk 4, 5, 6 minutes off. You give them minimal time to work with, especially if you're going against Josh Allen and Mahomes.
Again, Lamar was distributing the ball as well. So I like the play calling from Todd. And I'm not a big Todd fan, so hey, I'm going to give you props on this game and Dallas's game. That just stick to that. Stick to the plan that works.
And I don't think going into Cincinnati, nothing changes because their defense is not good.
Yeah.
If you look on social media, it's so funny. Cincinnati fans are complaining about Geno Stone, and Pittsburgh fans are complaining about Patrick Queen not being in the right position in coverage, and they're already upset with him 4 weeks into the season.
And we already knew that as a Raven.
So I mean, there should be no difference from what you see the past 2 weeks that with this team going into Cincinnati from the offensive side. And honestly, I want to say this. This is before the recording of the Monday night game. What was really the difference defensively from what you saw even in Dallas's game on the defensive side than when McDonald was a coordinator here? I mean, honestly, we have such good personnel and pieces at every position. I just feel like you can plug and play any guy as a coordinator, and they will excel because they have so many pieces to work with.
Yeah.
Roquan and Van Noy, huge game.
Huge game.
Kyle Hamilton's all over the place. He's like, I used to get jealous, even though we had Ed Reed all those years, of Palomalu jumping over the offensive line, sacking the quarter. We got that in Hamilton. He's always in the backfield. And you need that against a mobile quarterback like Josh Allen. He can't just sit back there when you got Hamilton running at you.
Yeah. Yeah. And we haven't been missing Clowney. I mean, Van Noy has just stepped up big. I mean, that strip sack, that
And
strip
Queen.
ball, and was just that really changed the complexion of the game and the momentum of the game when he stripped and Kyle picked it up.
After that play, it was over.
Yeah, it was over.
It was done.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly question why they even ran that, because they were moving the ball really good that drive. And if they scored, I believe it would have been 17 to maybe 28-ish. Maybe it was 21. I can't remember, so don't kill me in the comments. But they were moving the ball really well. There was no reason to do that trick play.
You know what that reminds me of? Is when Todd does that trickery when he doesn't need to do it, especially in the red zone. So I'm like saying, that's why I'm really loving Todd right now. Stick to your game plan and stop this trickery in the red zone on the 5-yard line. Run the ball in, play Ravens ball, yada, yada, yada. And, I got to give props to Aguilar. He had one heck of a game. I mean, he really...
He had 2 catches, Dad.
No, but I mean, it was critical catches. It was critical catches.
Okay, yeah.
So he's a guy that's only 1 or 2 catches, right? But he has it in the right moments.
Yeah, I mean, with Todd, it's going to be interesting when they, against a good defense like Pittsburgh, if we can't get substantial yards and we got to start throwing it. It reminds me of 2019. We didn't want to throw it at all. We were scared to. When we got down, when you need to throw it, what are you going to do? So it's great now, and I feel good after especially starting 0-2. We're back in the mix, second in the division. This was the greatest week ever.
Yeah.
Cincinnati won. Okay, fine, but they were already 0-3. Pittsburgh loses, and Cleveland loses a game that they should have never have lost. Yeah. So we're back in the thick of things, but what's going to happen if we can't move the ball with our run game. I don't know. It remains to be seen, honestly.
And that'll be that Pittsburgh game, right, with their defense. We'll see what we're made of on that game.
It was the Chiefs game.
Yeah, well,
because
the Chiefs,
Henry barely got the ball, right?
Yeah,
and we were just airing it out. We're playing how they play.
But again, he switched up on his game plan, Todd, that is, and things have changed.
I know. I'm just saying, it feels good right now, Ravens fans, but let's see what happens when it doesn't go. This was the perfect game, right? When things don't go according to plan, how are you going to adjust?
Well, let's not forget, in the beginning of the first game, beginning of the season, our offensive line was a big question mark. So hopefully, they're starting to gel, come together, keep the injuries to a minimum, and we'll be in good shape. Yeah.
But, one couple more positive things to highlight. I highlighted Hamilton. He had the scoop on the strip by Van Noy. Owe was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ojabo was all over the place, and these were our predictions in the beginning of the year, and those were the two I highlighted. So far, I mean, we're not necessarily there with the division. We're all over the place with Ravens and Bengals in the top two, but we highlighted Bateman and Derek, and Stanley for you. But I would say so far in terms of key players, they're doing their job. Trenton Simpson, Marcus Williams, you're not seeing too many guys out of position per se. But I mean this was just a great game. It was a nice feeling. Waiting all day too to have that. I mean, how could you not be pumped up?
Yep.
How could you not be pumped up? But some bad things I want to say too. The delay of game was tough. It's 4th and 2. They're going to go for it. They have to. They're down. It's at the 50-yard line. There was an injury timeout before because Marlon just sat down, right? Injury timeout. You can't call 2 timeouts in a row. John calls a timeout, delay a game, automatic first down. It's like, man, our head coach. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he didn't know that it was an injury. I don't know. But it's definitely concerning, and it makes you feel like, again, can you trust John Harbaugh with things like this in close games? But it was minor because we had the lead. But if it's a close game, you're going, oh my gosh. Yeah. What if? Maybe we could have stopped them. You never know.
Speaking of dumb plays with a veteran player, Humphrey, with that personal foul, punching the guy in the helmet, and a critical spot when we just got the turnover.
Yeah,
and
field position.
Great field position. And he, they bailed him out. His teammates bailed him out, and on offense. But the truth is, man, you can't do that. And we already been talking about penalties with the Ravens and the most penalized team. So so that was disappointing to see that.
I was infuriated with that, and some people were like, "Oh, it was a response to that guy that kneed Patrick Ricard in the helmet." Whether it was or not, you just don't do that off of a big play because where we had the ball and then they panned to where we were. We had to drive all the way down the field again.
Right.
And if you don't score or had the punt, you're going...
Or just to get a field goal, a long field goal. So.
Marlon got bailed out because of our offense, went down there, and I think that was the drive Lamar ran it in, right? So had we not scored at all, he killed our momentum. And we get a lot of crap from Marlon, and he is a good corner. He does have good coverage, but he also sometimes gets burnt, and he just seems like out of place. And it's stuff like that. I mean, Lamar last week on the plane was upset with him, recording him, saying, you need to lock in, we need to lock in. Lamar is on a mission, and he's trying to set his players in straight, and you got guys like Humphrey doing that.
Right.
A veteran, 8 years in the league.
He should be the leader back there along with Roquan. So, come on, be a leader.
Those are the little things.
I mean, you expect that from a rookie with the emotions out of control, right? So you just got to stay in control. That's the bottom line. But once again, the feeling was really, really good.
Yeah, and Nate Wiggins had 2 missed picks. It would have been nice to get that. I mean, his first pick off of Josh Allen. It was kind of like a surprise ball. I don't really think he expected, the ball to land where it was at. But the second one off of Trubisky, dang. Yeah. The good thing is that he seems like he's in the right place at the right time. He had the punch-out fumble last week on CeeDee Lamb in the red zone. So he's there. He's in the right position, and he's getting more snaps compared to week 1. So that's on the positive note.
He was out the whole. He was out there the whole game. But don't forget, he's a rookie, and he needs that confidence. He needs to get those picks to really get more and more confidence.
He's there. He's making plays.
Well, he's not quite there.
No, I'm saying he's there in the right position.
In the right position.
He just has to finish. He's not lost, right? He's not getting burnt.
Right.
And he's just got to finish the play.
And he's close coverage. That's what I like. He's not playing 5 yards off the receivers when they catch the ball.
Yeah.
So that's a very good sign with the Ravens playing zone like that.
Yeah.
So.
We were dead last in coverage before this game. I don't know where we are now. And, Stevens had a tough game, but it was contested balls on the sideline with Keon Coleman. At least he's there, right? Keon Coleman had to make a tough catch to get there. So, it's tighter than usual, I'm saying.
It's tighter than usual. I agree, and I like our offensive line, the way they played, because they gave Lamar some time in the pocket to throw some of those 30, 40-yard passes to Likely, and Andrews dropped the ball. That was about...
It wasn't 40. It wasn't that long, but he did have some, mid-level throws.
Mid-level, yeah.
There was no bombs or anything, that's fine.
Yeah. Is 40 a bomb?
I believe so, yeah.
No, 50 and 60 is a bomb, like
Likely
Flacco used to throw.
Likely had one catch for 26 yards. It was not nearly 40. But I like that we're managing Lamar the way we are. I saw the Bears last week. Caleb Williams, rookie, threw 50 times. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Lamar threw 18 times, 13 completions. It's perfect for him.
That's good balance.
It's perfect for him. You don't want him throwing 30 times. I don't want that. It's not a recipe to win, I feel like, for Baltimore. But, we go into Cincinnati next week, first division game, and we can put the nail in the coffin for them. They have some life. They beat the Panthers, and Panthers put up a good fight. They really did.
They almost won.
They really did. So they're going to be, pumped up because if they win this game, we have the same record, which is crazy to think because they started 0-3. This division, even though it doesn't seem as competitive as usual because the quarterback play in Cleveland is kind of on the downhill, and Cincinnati, I don't know what's going on, but this is another game that we can really just kill them and get them off our backs and worry about these other teams in the division, it seems like.
Well, looking at our team last night, I tell you what, I'm not that afraid of Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Cincinnati, anybody in our division. I feel like we have a really good chance if we play our game, if we stick to our leaders of how to move the ball down the field. We have all the players, and we've been saying that every podcast. So I feel good that we got the talented players to get the job done. They just have to do their job, as they say in football, and we'll be in good shape. We
have so many playmakers that you can't feed everybody. We have too many mouths to feed.
Yeah.
Like Likely and Andrews, they're not going to be involved a lot of games, and people are killing Andrews for the one drop ball. But look at all the great blocks he had for Henry.
Yeah.
That's why he's out there. He might not be catching it like he used to, but he provides other value for this team. Mm-hmm. And that's why we keep him out there, So we have so many playmakers. Now Justice Hill's getting involved. Mitchell has still yet to play this year. It's overwhelming who we can beat you with. And we said this last year, right? We just need to see that in the playoffs and not just rely on Lamar. So hopefully you see that. I just feel like there's no way Cincinnati can stop us if we just play this way.
To substantiate that, a viral moment today, Rex Ryan said Ravens were the best team in the league, and that just went viral. So that just to the point that we have all those playmakers, and he realizes that. Somebody a lot of people respect, and was on the Ravens, coaching staff. So, hey.
Last thing I'll say is I would like to see the Ravens win a close one, right? These two wins have been blowouts, but it seems like in close games now, we tend to crumble. Kansas City and the Raiders. Now, Kansas City's 4-0. All their games are close. They're not blowing out anybody. They always seem to pull it out. And in the playoffs, very rarely is it going to be a blowout. So I want to see how the Ravens can handle under pressure. What can John do? What can Lamar do? Can they pull it out? because
Well,
these
we keep
blowout
blowing. We keep blowing leads.
It's-
That's the problem too.
True,
So,
but if it's a back and forth game, it'll
yeah,
be interesting to see.
see if we can win in the
you know?
final.
Because
seconds.
listen, not every loss is a bad loss.
Yeah.
The Raiders' loss in the moment felt like it was somewhat bad. You blew a lead, you can't do that against the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
But had they not lost that game, would they be motivated going into Dallas, right? Would they be motivated Buffalo?
Right.
Because we lost that game, it was do or die, backs against the wall. They shot themselves in the foot. So I feel like that loss motivated us because the season's on the line now, right? You got to go out here and ball out.
Yeah, well, that's
beginning
what happened to
end.
Cincinnati this weekend. They had to win.
Exactly.
They had to win, and they
When you
knew
put
it.
yourself in a
go
corner
0-4,
like that.
your season's over.
Exactly.
So
I'm
and I
kinda-
wish we would play like that. I wish we had that feeling. Maybe it was good to be 0-2 and have that feeling. You got to come back.
Yeah.
Just like in the fourth quarter, you got to come back and win. So maybe it was a good thing to wake them up or shake them up, one or the other.
I mean,
And-
you're
and, hey,
right. You're right because think about it. We lost by a toenail in week 1.
Yep.
We played down to our opponents next week thinking we're just going to trot in here and
and
win.
we lost the lead.
And we lost and blew it. Now you're 0-2 going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? We're much better than this. So it whipped them back in shape. And it sucks that it had to happen to do that. But, I mean, the proof's in the pudding,
Yeah,
right?
But this league is tricky like that. Look
Yeah.
at all the stuff that went on this weekend.
It's hard
It
to
was
win,
up and
of
down and up and
course.
down. So, however, we put ourselves in a big hole, and you know, 0-2 is no joke. You know,
Yeah.
when starting out the season. So, especially with the competition we have, and especially in our division, you know, you have no room for error in our division. So, hey. Happy to be here today on a Monday. I'm a little tired though today after a long night, but it feels good to have that W.
Yes, very good win from start to finish, and it's just amazing to see Derrick Henry, man. It's just like, man, you know, it's almost like you're in a dream, you know, and seeing him, the explosiveness, and with Lamar, it's like this is just too good to be true, and you just hope that it just continues, honestly.
I know when we got him, that's the dream you thought was going to happen, and when it does come to fruition, oh my God! On the first play,
Yep.
it was nothing better to see that, and I'm happy for him because I think that's going to catapult him. Even though he's a professional and one of the best or Hall of Famer, that's going to catapult him with the Ravens to have that confidence to really just pound the ball.
I'm not
you know?
sure if you saw in the locker room he's like, this is why I came here.
Yeah,
You know, the organization, the aura in the building, the playmakers, this is why he came here, and he came here to win a Super Bowl, right? So those first 2 weeks were disappointing, and he was probably like, what's going on?
Yeah,
But we're
don't
getting in the groove of
underestimate the
things.
camaraderie though on a team.
Yeah.
And that's what these veteran players like him at the end of their career, so to speak. That's what they're looking for, you
Yeah.
know? So don't underestimate, you know, the feeling he has, and everybody appreciating his skill set, especially his quarterback. You know,
Yeah.
that's who he's looking for.
You know, we literally added another leader because Lamar now is he's like setting the standard, right? The way he's talking. Even last year he was doing that. You have Roquan, and now you have Henry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look at all those years growing up watching Suggs, Reed, Lewis, leaders, right? Even Haloti Ngata to an extent, because Flacco wasn't that vocal guy, and you were egging, but he just wasn't that guy. So you have multiple guys now on this roster with the addition of Henry, leader, veteran, professional.
And if anybody stayed up to see the post interview after the game, they had Lamar and Henry talking to each other, both of them giving each other acclimates and, you know, just saying how much they appreciated them and their skill set, and this is what they do. When you see that camaraderie and that connection, you know, it's like Kelsey and Mahomes. You know, you just love to see it.
Even Van Noy, I forgot about him.
Van Noy.
Great veteran. Leadership, played all those years in New England. He knows.
Yeah.
So
he's a good compliment to Roquan.
Yeah, and especially with all our young talent, with Hamilton and even Nate Wiggins now. So, you know, they have good people to look up to and see how to win in this league.
Yeah.
Guys that have done it. So, yeah, thank you again for tuning in. If you did, this was a great win. I know Ravens fans are feeling good, and we're going to feel even better beating a division rival in Cincinnati. Let's put our foot on their throats again. Let's kill their hopes and dreams. And let's keep chasing the ranks in this division and putting ourselves in a good spot going forward.